Hey guys, thank you for stopping by my channel today. I am back in front of my major camera and not my vlogging camera. I've got my Diva ring back up, and so it feels completely strange. It's been, I don't know, 8 or 9 months, which other people tell me is a pregnancy. I wouldn't know because I don't have children and won't ever. But this is a good day. I figured I would get back into the swing of things. I don't have all my lighting up, so I'll still be playing with my lighting. I don't know if the lighting is fabulous or not. I guess I'll check it out a little bit later, but I wanted to get back into the swing of things, and I've had a couple of kind of chats with you guys already, and I do still want to incorporate the beauty stuff, and so I thought I would start off with something that could go terribly wrong, and ultimately I could wind up laughing at myself and you could laugh at me too. I got a hold of, it looks awful already. It's got one of these mirrored tops. This is the Becca Hydra Mist Set and Refresh Powder. So what I figured I would do is I haven't used it yet. I'm in the middle of the day right now. And so I touched up my foundation a little bit. I got to go to work in a little while. But I do have to set my makeup. And it says you can set your makeup kind of throughout the day or just, you know, in the morning, you know, once you first get ready. And so from what I understand, it's a pretty interesting sensation. And so I figured, why not share kind of a first impression with you guys and let you know kind of what the powder's all about, and then just kind of whether or not I think it's gonna look good as a midday setting powder. And then I can report back to you guys on kind of what I think overall. So what's interesting about this powder is it's ultra translucent, it's a refreshing powder, dusts on like a mist. It's actually 50% water. I don't really even know how that works. How does powder be made of 50% water? Wouldn't you like have a paste at that point? Water and powder make a paste if you don't have a balance of the two of those. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to work, but apply throughout the day to refresh and rejuvenate makeup. I guess actually they're almost even touting it as more just a refresher, but I guess you could use it as a setting powder if you want. Ideal for all skin tones. Excellent, because that's me. So I am one of all skin tones. So like I said, this is kind of the middle of my day. So I do have kind of oily to combination skin. So I blotted my skin first with the, this is the Up and Up oil absorbing sheets. These are the guys that are blue. I love them. These are exactly like the Clean and Clear, but they're from Target, so they're much less. I don't like kind of rice paper sort of blotting papers. I like the fake looking stuff. I like the stuff that looks blue. This morning, I primed my face with the Soap & Glory One Heck of a Blot, which tends to be a somewhat mattifying primer. Let me say this, I think anybody could use it because it doesn't completely mattify me, which isn't really what I'm looking for anyway, but it does give me a little bit of mattification. And then I spot prime with the Urban Decay Optical Illusion Complexion Primer. This is the one, this is the pore smoothing one, and I kind of just put it where I've got major pores and then a little bit in the center of my forehead. I like this one. It's got argan oil in it, and so it's a little bit moisturizing as well. And so it's a really nice combination with the mattifying primer from Soap & Glory, because sometimes the Soap & Glory might like accentuate like a little bit of dry patches or something, and so the one by Urban Decay kind of compensates for that, and they wind up balancing each other really nicely. I always put the mattifying one on first if I ever am going to put on kind of a smoothing primer or whatever, because I want the absorbing primer to be closer to my skin and my oil producing factories that sit inside my pores. The foundation that I'm using and I have been loving is by Mercier. It's the Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Foundation. I like this one as far as a long day or a long wear foundation. I kind of like it a little better than my Urban Decay All Nighter, and that's because the Urban Decay All Nighter is it's thicker. It's a little bit thicker. So this one is a little bit thinner, but I love the coverage that it gives, and as well as it being kind of an all-day wear foundation for me. So right now I've touched up my foundation. Like I said, I blotted. I touched up my foundation around my nose because I think I've been sick since last summer. And I am in the process still of getting over a cold, and so I've been looking like Rudolph. Even though we're approaching Easter and Passover, I was definitively looking like it was Christmas because I kept having to blow my nose, and so I constantly wipe my foundation off. So there's a little sign inside here that says, keep me closed to keep me cool. They must mean the top, because what I'm about to do is actually remove like a sticker, which I guess I could have done off camera, but I'm hoping it's gonna go well since this is my, nope, I don't think the sticker's coming off. I'm not sure, I don't know. Okay, now, I could have tried to figure this out before, but I'm not sure what. Okay, hold please. Let me figure out how to get this stupid thing open. Okay, I figured it out. So the sticker, which I might take off anyway because I don't know, it's a sticker. It's a little sticker. So there's a little like lip that you can pick up so that you open it up kind of like a flap. And then there's another kind of piece of like covering, I guess, which I imagine also has to come off. This one has a little tab on the side. Okay, here we go. The suspense is building, can you tell? Okay, so it's one of those peel off stickers whenever there is loose powder underneath. So it's a translucent powder. It's a little bit kind of pinky in color, but the net or the screen that keeps the powder down, it's interesting, it's a screen. Because usually, like if you think about like most of the loose powders, there are a series of larger circles. This is actually, this is actually a screen. It looks like it's a little bit thicker than the Urban Decay, what was that powder called? The Velvetizer powder. This is very fine, and this looks like this is a little bit, just a hair thicker than that. Actually, I just touched the screen too, and it's soft. It's like a net. It's not even a screen. That's fascinating. Okay, I am using the large tulip-shaped brush. This is from Sigma, the Tapered Face F25. And I am going to glance at my mirror in the corner, but I am pretty much just putting on a little bit. Wow, the brush absorbed. There was a little bit of powder in the net, and the brush absorbed it. But when you tap it, like, you know, you go to tap, a very fine, almost like smoke comes off of the brush, which is indicating to me that the powder is very, very fine. Okay. Now like I'm scared. I feel like I'm going to get my blood drawn or something because I'm afraid, I don't know, I thought there was a sensation. Okay, here we go. So, oh my God, it feels wet. Oh, that's so weird. Oh my God, okay, I have to tell you, I totally feel like I'm messing up my makeup right now because I feel like I'm putting water, but it's, I don't know if you can see that. I mean, there's just like a very fine, whoa, it looks smooth though. Holy cow. Okay, I am, it totally feels wet. Okay. I'll look at myself in the monitor for just a second. So I don't think it's kind of pasting me out at all. And what's weird is I barely have any powder on here at all. And I'm kind of bringing it all around my face. And the brush still feels pretty damp. But I have to say, let me see. Oh, I gotta get a mirror, kind of look up, kind of check things out up close. I have to say, I feel like that is a pretty stark, I feel like my pores went somewhere. I'm not quite sure how that's possible. I'm finding it hard to talk, which is ridiculous when filming a YouTube video, but I'm finding it hard to talk because I wasn't really expecting, first of all, I wasn't expecting that sensation. So let me say this, I don't even care if you choose not to buy it. You need to go to the store, you need to try it on. Go to like Sephora because holy cow, this for some reason is totally, I have the hugest pores. You see how big my Italian nose is? Yeah, my pores are large enough to kind of match that and go in sync with that. And this I feel like is completely smoothing me out. Now the question is whether or not it's going to keep me mattified throughout the day. I'm completely stunned. That is amazing. You'd think, you know, when it comes to, oh, I'm dusting around over here. You'd think that when it came to makeup, we would have kind of done it all. But that's kind of out of control. I don't really see that there was Any additional color, I mean, I've got to go in and I've kind of got to, I have to add blush and a little bit more bronzer and kind of touch that up a little bit. But that was pretty amazing stuff, and I'm completely surprised. So overall, my first impression for Becca, that's pretty fancy stuff. You definitely have to give it a shot. So I am going to report back in a very little while to kind of let you know how the entire, how it kind of sets and settles throughout the day as it goes on. I'll also try to give you a little bit of report on what it does for my kind of mattification. I wonder if because it's so powdery, if it's going to make me look kind of matte throughout the day. So I don't know. So those are things that I'm considering. It's a fair bit of powder, kind of standard. It's 0.35 ounces. And I believe if I remember right, this was about, I want to say it was about $38. I got it at Sephora. I got it online. And so, yeah, that was crazy, but exciting at the same time. Before I sign off here, I am going to actually put on some bronzer and some blush, which is what I was going to do to touch up. And I wanted to give you an idea of how it was going to lay on top of it. And so, hold on, I'm gonna grab my brush. Right now I've got the Bobbi Brown Face Blender brush, which I love for bronzer. And I'm going to be using my Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Baked Powder in number 3. I love using a real hair brush to apply powders because it totally winds up dispensing the product so nicely and so smoothly. It's like the brush hairs, because they absorb a little bit of the powder, it's as if they kind of do some of the blending for you. And so, okay, so that actually, I can kind of see it's sitting very nicely. I'm not seeing like any non-blending or anything that kind of makes it look funny. I'm going to be using the blush that I'm using is by Clinique. It's the Cheek Pop in Nude Pop. And right now I'm trying out the MAC 168. This is the contour brush, but everybody says they use it for blush. And it's a little bit dense, but I think it's because it's brand new for me. So I keep kind of trying to break it in. I don't know, like it's a baseball mitt or something. I keep trying to break it in to try to get it to soften up a little bit. I've washed it now a couple of times also. But this also I find is going on very nicely as well. And so I'm not finding that the powder is, because it's 50% water, I'm not finding that it's kind of grabbing the powders that I'm laying on top. Actually, it's kind of putting them on really nice and smoothly. And so that was pretty impressive. I am gonna just take the same powder brush and I'm just gonna kind of blend in everybody so that I'm not looking like too much of myself. Okay, now I'm gonna sign off. I'm still impressed. Still impressed. Okay, now I'm gonna sign off. I'll get back to you and let you know how it wears throughout the day. You guys, game changer. So this was initially, I mean, I don't even really like first impression videos because I feel like, well, you're not really giving it a lot of time, you know, and your first impression, I mean, obviously things can change, but, and again, I did it because I just wanted to see the experience of trying the powder on, which was an experience in and of itself. It was phenomenal, and I think that's what makeup is. Makeup is about playing, and that's pretty awesome. And then something happens where it winds up being so phenomenal. Okay, so it's like, I don't forget, 4 or 5 hours later, and I would normally be a grease ball by now. I mean, I do have oily to combination skin and I can basically keep it under control, but by the end of the day, no matter what I've done in the middle of the day, and even once I touch up in the middle and blot and powder, I am always shiny. And what happens is too, when I release the oil, it winds up basically mixing with the foundation and the powder that are on my face, and it winds up accentuating my pores. And I can't believe my pores have never looked smaller. Like, I even looked at myself in the rearview mirror, and then also like the flip down mirror in the car. I can't stop looking at how good my pores look. And I can't, like, initially I was like, I don't even understand. I can't quite figure out why this particular powder would be so different. And I think, you know, let let me kind of get out of this light for a sec. Let's actually kind of go on the assumption that it is like 50% water. Well, the biggest deal when it comes to looking good and looking young and having your skin look healthy is moisture. And if this powder is made of water, then I can only assume that what it's doing is it's kind of plumping my pores a little bit, in that it's like just making them not so dry and defined. And then I also think like maybe I'm not releasing as much oil from my pores right now because my pores and my skin are feeling moisturized because I didn't set my makeup with not necessarily a drying powder, but powder in and of itself. Anyway, historically speaking, but I guess not as of today, but powder in and of itself generally has some drying tendencies to it. So maybe my face is like, oh, that's not really, you know, 100% a mattification, you know, absorption process going on with the powder. And so as a result, my oil production factories kind of went on a break and they didn't wind up overcompensating. P.S. by the way, the red nose, that has nothing to do with powder, foundation, or anything. I blew my nose like 6 times. 6 dozen? 6 times or half a dozen. And so that's kind of why I'm looking a little pink right there. But the rest of my skin, I can't get over just how good it looks. So I am obviously going to keep trying it, but at the end of the day, so not just my first impression, my first long impression is that the Becca Hydra Mist powder, whatever kind, it's like magic in a jar. And so I will continue using it, and maybe when I film my next card chat, which I think I've got one already on the coming up that's gonna be probably about medicine, and I got another one coming up about the idea of winning. And I'll go into that obviously in those conversations, but I'm definitely gonna be doing a monthly favorites. So in there somewhere, I will update you on kind of how I feel about this powder. But at the end of the day, I am beyond impressed, and I can't stop looking at the pores that don't really look like they're there anymore, and the oil that was supposed to be there and isn't really there as much. So anyway, if you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up, just because that helps me know kind of what you like. If you've got any video ideas or anything that you want me to try, I am up for that. This was like the best makeup to try that I've done in a really long time, and so I don't know, I just had a really good time, like both from start to finish. This was a very surprising day, and so I'm super excited about that. So thanks again for stopping by. I hope you have a good rest of the day. I will see you next time. Thanks. Hey guys, so my first impression of the Becca Hydra Mist powder is now turning into kind of like a running commentary, but this is now the next day, and I seriously could not wait to do my makeup today because I was so excited to try out the powder again, and I am as impressed, if not more, the second day with just how flawlessly it's making my skin look. I do have very large pores, and I have never had a powder just like gloss them over. It's fascinating to me. Plus it was really fun to use again this morning because it totally felt wet. And even though I had done it yesterday for the first time, I still wasn't anticipating. I mean, it's like literally somebody like took a spray bottle and like sprayed you in the face with water, and you're feeling and you're thinking to yourself, you're ruining my makeup, and then it looks even better than you imagined it to be. So I wanted to get on today because I had a couple other thoughts this morning. Because I have crappy skin, and I've got acne scarring, I've got acne, I've got blackheads, I've got some little bit of redness, I got a little discoloration, whatever. I've got the entire recipe of what crappy skin is. And so I typically do not enjoy at all using a beauty blender, because what it does, for me anyway, is take away some of the coverage. Now, if you've got average skin, I totally understand how the beauty blender makes it look so just seamless and so just flawless. But I wind up losing too much of the coverage, and too much of underneath winds up shining through or showing through. And so beauty blenders just didn't work for me. And I love using brushes. But I've been envious of all of you who are there like bopping on your face and having a good old time. What occurred to me and what I noticed this time when I had fresh foundation and it hadn't been set at all, so this was the first application, and yesterday what I showed you was middle of the day kind of touch up. So I used it to set my makeup today. I also used it under my eyes, and I have a lot of texture under my eyes, and it did a beautiful job there as well. But what I noticed when I was using my big fluffy brush again today to apply the Becca powder was I felt like it was a hybrid between a brush and the Beauty Blender, because I noticed that it, I don't want to say that it diluted my foundation, but it added an extra step of blending. And it took away some of the, I don't want to say cakiness, because I will never walk out of the house with cakey foundation, but it just ever so slightly diluted it and just kind of smoothed it over. I was totally not expecting that, and I felt like, even though it was a powder, it's this whole Hydra Mist magical 50% water powder, I felt like it felt very similar to Beauty Blender application without losing the coverage that I typically lose when I'm using a Beauty Blender. I hope that made sense. I am trying to describe something that I've never experienced before, and it's completely fascinating. And so I did want to add that day 2, I am equally pleased. And I'm sorry, I just got sight of my buffanti. Do you like my little buffanti here? My hair is air drying right now. And when I do that, I put it up in a little clip so that it doesn't like get attached and stuck to the side of my head. So anyway, I'm sorry, I got totally distracted by my own self. But I just wanted to just kind of update you now on day 2 and just let you know that it's performing even better than I thought yesterday, and in completely interesting, unexpected ways. By the way, I was so impressed with the $38 powder, which I did confirm, that I went to go order another one, and now Sephora is completely sold out. So I did that email notification where they're gonna let me know when it comes back in, because I am definitely getting another one. So anyway, I think this is the end of the video, but I honestly have no idea. So if the video ends, then I've got nothing else to say, but you might see me come back again. Anyway, thanks so much for staying, and I'll see you next time. Bye.